for joining. I see someone new here, Solid 3D. So thank you for jumping on. So last week we talked a lot about mental health, and we talked about some really serious topics like anxiety and depression, and then the really serious topic of suicide and how that can be a major issue for people, and how you need to get appropriate help when you're experiencing thoughts of suicide and things like that. And so mental health is something that's very an area of passion for me. I really enjoy talking about it, and I think it's really important to discuss these issues because it helps to break down stigma. So I wanted to go a little bit kind of on a lighter but also more kind of practical note this week and discuss some techniques that can help to break through those barriers of stress and overwhelm when you are going through school. Because I know that it's midterm season and things are kind of starting to ramp up, and I'm sure that there's a bit of stress going on and some overwhelm. So there are tons of techniques out there that you can use to kind of navigate that stress and make things a little bit more doable for yourself, and maybe prevent having an instance of a mental health issue in the future if you manage your mental health in a kind of proactive way. Hi, Cor. Nice to see you. So the first thing that I wanted to discuss is, just going to bring up my notes here. So yeah, I wanted to give you like some actual tips and tricks that you'll be able to use and implement in your life. And maybe you guys will have some too. So I really encourage this to be more of a dialogue and conversation than me kind of just giving and spouting a bunch of information. But at the same time, I do have a list of some pretty good techniques that I use in my life and that I've used with clients in my social work practice. So I have some really good information for you today. So the first one that I wanted to discuss, and maybe you guys already do this in your lives, but it is to practice gratitude. Many of us don't realize that our brains are not actually hardwired to practice gratitude. Although that sounds like a weird statement, we're actually hardwired to go the other way and be preventative and look for the dangers in life. So that kind of prevents us from naturally seeking out thoughts of gratitude. So like this, yes, G-Core, thanks. Yoga practice and meditation practice, we also have to practice gratitude. And that's why you'll hear it phrased that way, because it is actually a practice. It's something that you have to work on, and it's something that doesn't always come naturally. So I wanted to give you a few suggestions about how to do that. But at the same time, excuse me, I also wanted to suggest that in talking about this, I'm not suggesting that, we always have to be positive and we always have to be grateful, because that's just not realistic, and life can be challenging sometimes. And so as human beings, we're always going to have a mixture of emotions. But when we do practice gratitude, it can have a total life-changing, it can create a life-changing shift in our lives if we start to see our lives in a more positive light. So one of the ways that we can practice gratitude is to, when we wake up in the morning, before we even get out of bed, we can make a list in our heads of 3 or 5 things that we're grateful for. So before we even touch our feet to the floor, we kind of think in our minds about what in our lives are we grateful for, and then that kind of sets the tone for the whole day ahead. And then maybe throughout the day you'll look for more opportunities to be grateful and more things that you're grateful for, and it can kind of act as a way to reframe those negative thoughts and to look for the positive in life. And Cora, I see you're saying something here on Instagram. Yes, my sister's boyfriend bought me a gratitude journal one year as a birthday gift. Had great prompts. Yes, gratitude journals can be great. If you mean whether that's helpful and it helps you to have prompts, that's great. Or it could be something as simple as grabbing your own little notebook from the dollar store and writing down 3 things a day that you're grateful for. And so depending on kind of what you respond to, if you're a person who just kind of likes to think about things in your mind, that's great. If you like to write it down and look back and reflect on it, that can be beneficial as well. So you kind of tailor it to your life and what's great for you. So as Cor was saying, it could be beneficial to have a gratitude journal with different prompts in it so that you can use that to kind of guide you through your practicing of gratitude. Or there's probably a lot of resources online for different prompts. So that's something that I would encourage you to kind of delve into, is to understand how to practice gratitude and then implement it into your life. And like I said, it's probably not going to be easy at first. You might forget about it. You might not want to do it. But once you get into that regular routine of doing it, it will have a lasting impact on your life. And then another way to kind of bring gratitude into your life is to look at your whole day through a lens of gratitude. So not just in the morning, but as you navigate your day, you look at things to be grateful for. So whereas sometimes we see the negative in life, so say we're driving in traffic in Toronto and the highway is really backed up, that could be a really negative experience. But if we frame it through a lens of gratitude, we might think, I am grateful to have a car, to be able to commute to work. I am grateful to be able to have the money to put gas in my car. And then that kind of gets you closer to a lens of gratitude, and you approach life in a more grateful way. And then another way that I wanted to offer that you can use to practice gratitude is to vow to yourself to not complain, not gossip, not tell stories about other people, and approach life that way. So sometimes it can be really easy, and sometimes we take joy about talking about other people, or gossiping or complaining. So an approach to kind of counteracting that is to vow to yourself to not do that, and set an intention that you're not going to gossip about anyone, or you're not going to complain. And yes, like I said, all these practices are going to be difficult, but that's why they're called practices, because there's something that you work on, and there's something that you keep going back to, and it's a continuous practice throughout your life. I see Nicole Arias joined us. Welcome. We're just talking about how to integrate gratitude into your life, and we're going to be talking about some other methods for self-care as we go along. And then another way to practice gratitude is at the end of your day, before you go to bed, much like you did in the morning, be thankful and think about the things that you're grateful for in your mind, whether it's 3 things or 5 things. Just list them off in your mind, and then that can help you to have a great sleep and to help you end your day on a positive note. So that was kind of the gratitude piece that I wanted to talk about. And then I really wanted to talk a little bit about meditation, because meditation seems to be becoming more popular these days, and I think that it's really interesting because it's kind of steering away from the spiritual aspect, although some people do use it still in a spiritual way, but other people use it more in a secular way, where they just approach meditation as a way to be mindful and aware of their lives. So meditation is something that I've just started practicing, and as I mentioned, it is not easy by any means, but I highly recommend just kind of going slow and easing into the practice. And as I mentioned, it's a practice as well. Any viewers practice meditation? I'm just gonna have a quick sip of tea. Or you practice meditation using sounds. That's interesting. So you use like a YouTube video, or you listen to waves and visualize it. Yes, visualization can be a very powerful way to meditate, and it can be really peaceful and tranquil to do that. I know that I've seen, sometimes I'll listen to waves when I go to bed, and I find it really, really peaceful. Of course, living on the East Coast, I love any sound of the ocean. It can be really relaxing. But I think you can find it on like YouTube. You can just look up waves, sleep music, and usually it comes up, or meditation music with waves. I think that there are tons on YouTube. So I just want to preface this section by saying that I am not by any means a meditation instructor or anything like that. I don't have training in mindfulness, but I am beginning a practice of meditation. So I wanted to just kind of, I won't initiate a practice right now, but I wanted to kind of explain to you the process of meditation that I've found works for me, and that it's very basic. So yes, Core is talking about guided meditation. So there are some really great guided meditations on YouTube or on different applications, and they'll guide you through different steps towards thinking positively, or I've done them before. I've gone into a job interview, and they'll help you to visualize being confident and visualize you getting the job, and those guided meditations can be very helpful. The meditation that I've been doing lately, and that I think is really beneficial, because you don't really need guidance to do it. All you need is your breath. And so if anyone is familiar with meditation, of course you know that it always comes back to your breath. So when you're doing meditation, you can do it just for 2 minutes, you can do it for 10 minutes, you can do it for an hour. When you're a new practitioner, you might want to start out just with 2 or 3 minutes, and that's okay, because it's a practice, like I said. And then as you keep going with it, your practice might lengthen, and you'll be surprised at how long you can sit in your practice. So what has been recommended to me is that you take a good posture. So put your, sure your spine is straight, make sure your head feels like it's being almost pulled up by a wire, and straighten your shoulders, and then relax your shoulders. You don't want to be tense. You can place your hands in your lap or on your knees, and then you just start to focus on your breath. So you focus on your in-breath and your out-breath, and you just breathe slowly. You're not trying to do any intensive breathing. You're not trying to change your breathing. You're just being aware of your breathing, and you're living in the moment. Now, one thing that most people find difficult about meditation, everyone finds difficult about meditation, is that thoughts will come in. And something that was beneficial to me when I first started learning about meditation was that someone told me that you just label your thoughts thought. So you're in a process of meditation, and you're gonna be having thoughts about what you have to do after this, and what you should have for breakfast, and what test is coming up, or what you have to study, and when you have to go to work. And that's natural. So know that is natural. When those thoughts come up in meditation, just label them in your mind thought, and let them pass by. Don't give them any weight. And then return to your breath. You always return to your breath. And then, like I said, just start out with a short 2 minutes at a morning or an evening, whatever works for you, and go from there. It's very basic. And the reason I like that basic approach is that you can always come back to your breath. You always have your breath with you. So if you are in a stressful situation, if you're taking a test, if you're about to go for a job interview, you can just breathe and do that for 2 minutes, and then it'll kind of reset your brain and you'll be ready to go on. And as you continue to practice, not that I'm any guru, but as you continue to practice, that calmness will be more accessible to you. And that's just the way the brain works. You're training your brain in a way to form new patterns and pathways. So that's about meditation. So another technique that I wanted to offer you is that we often hold a lot of stress and tension in the physical body. So yes, we can do exercise, and yes, we can do yoga to alleviate some of that tension and stress that's in our body. And we can have a bath. We can do all kinds of things, stretching. But one of the techniques that I learned is to actually, sometimes we need that like quick fix, you know, we're in a really stressful situation, particularly if you are someone who is prone to anxiety and you just need that quick fix of like, I need something right now to help me calm down. So one technique that you can do is you lift your left arm. So, and you want to take your right hand, and it has to be your right hand on your left side. So you take your right hand, because that's the side your heart is on. You take your right hand and you tuck it underneath your heart side, and you hold like that. And then you breathe. And that actually has an instant physical sensation that will calm your body. And it's something that you can do in those moments of stress, in those moments of intensity. Just take a moment to do that and breathe, and that may help you calm down. It's really a physical and grounding technique because, like I said, we hold a lot of stress and tension in the body. So if you're looking to kind of just instantly take yourself down, try that technique and let me know if it works, because it works for me, and a professional in the field taught me that technique. So let me know what you think if you try it. So then I wanted to give you some, if meditation's not for you, there are some other ways that you can navigate feeling stress and overwhelm. So one of the ways, it's called, and I can probably put it in the comments, or you can message us later if you forget. But you can always access these videos later too if it's something that interests you. But it's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's actually a mindfulness and awareness technique that you can use when you're trying to go to sleep and you're feeling restless. It will help you to calm down. If you're in a stressful situation, it will bring you more mindfulness and just bring you into the present moment and stop any racing thoughts that you're having. So what it is basically you start at the number 5, and you're thinking of it as you're doing a countdown. So you start with 5 and you say, you want to think about 5 things that you see. So you're in a room and you might look at 5 things you see. So 5 things I see are my computer, my phone, my microphone, my cup of tea, and my glasses. And you literally name them out loud. If you're at work or in class, you might not want to name them out So you can name them to yourself. But if you're in your car or somewhere alone, or you're trying to get to sleep, it might be helpful to name them out loud. So you'll name 5 things you can see, and then you will want to name 5 things you can hear. So I can hear the dripping tap. I can hear my computer fan running. I can hear the wind outside. I can hear my own voice. I can hear the dripping tap. So you can name things again if you can only hear so many things. So the idea is that you want to name 5 things you can hear, and then you want to name 5 things you can feel. So I can feel my hands touching together. I can feel my legs on the couch. I can feel my feet on the couch. I can feel my back on the seat. And I can feel the cushion underneath me. So you want to name 5 things that you can feel. And I'm getting calm just going through this process. And then you want to do 4 things of each, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1. And honestly, every time I do this, it helps me fall asleep. So this is an amazing technique that you can use. It's very calming and very mindful. It brings you in the present moment, and it makes you not think about all that other stuff that's going on in your head. And it also helps you be a little bit more observant, which is part of mindfulness. So I highly recommend that technique. It's a great one, and it's better than counting sheep. I usually don't make it until 2 or 1. So then, as Cor was saying before, visualization can be a very powerful technique to use. I know that counselors and therapists will use it in sessions with people when they're feeling particularly anxious or depressed. And one technique that I have heard of is one around visualizing your perfect spot. So you might be encouraged, if you do attend a therapy session, or you can do this on your own, to visualize your perfect spot. So whether that be on a beach somewhere, or in the woods, or in a bath, you visualize every little detail about that spot. So you make it real in your mind. The colors, the sounds, the smells, everything that goes into that space, and why it makes things calm for you, you will want to visualize that. And you can write this out if that's helpful for you, or you can just imagine it, or you can have someone guide you through the process of envisioning it for yourself. And this type of visualization can have a lasting impact for you because it's something that you can go back to. So like when I was discussing about when you need that kind of instant release and that instant calm, this is something that you can do if you practice your visualization of your specific spot. It's something that you can go back to when you're feeling particularly stressed, and it will just kind of center you and bring you right down. So I would encourage you as a technique to visualize what your perfect spot is. What are those colors? What are the smells and the sights and the sounds that are around you? And then bring that into your mind and visualize it when you're feeling particularly stressed out. That's a great one too. And visualization, like I said, and like Cor was mentioning, there are lots of techniques and videos on YouTube around visualization. So check that out. And so I also wanted to discuss a little bit, because we discussed about mental health last week. I wanted to talk a little bit about some social work framing of mental health techniques that you can use to reframe your negative thoughts and beliefs. So a lot of people refer to this as kind of the the monkey brain that we have, which is the kind of negative and racing thoughts that always come into our mind. And we all have them. It's completely natural, but sometimes we need to train our brains not to gravitate towards those racing thoughts so much, because that's when we can become a little bit unstable and a little bit have some mental health challenges. So therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy is very useful in helping to reframe these thoughts. And so specifically, for example, when we're talking about reframing, we're talking about stopping the negative thoughts and inserting a more positive thought. And like I said, I'm not advocating being positive all the time, because that's not realistic, but the brain is elastic. So, and as I mentioned, we're kind of hardwired for that negative thinking. So we can actually retrain the brain and carve out new pathways in the brain so that we are geared more towards a positive mindset. So, and because those racing thoughts can be really repetitive, they form patterns in our brain, which are really kind of hard to retrain. So we have to do this repetitively, and as I was mentioning, this theme of practice, we have to do them over and over and over again. So all of the techniques that I've provided up until now can go along with cognitive behavioral therapy or counseling, and those are more mindfulness techniques. But cognitive behavioral therapy is more of an effort to reframe those pathways in the brain. So for example, I wanted to give an example. So say you are the type of person that when you look in the mirror, you say, I'm ugly. Or you have a negative view of yourself in school and you say, you naturally think, I'm not smart enough. And like I mentioned, those are natural things, unfortunately, that we sometimes think. And it's not always an indication of a mental health condition if you do have those thoughts. We all have those thoughts. It's when those thoughts get out of control and start to overtake our lives that it may become more of an issue. So, but we do want to reframe those thoughts. So the first step is to acknowledge that those thoughts exist and that they are not true. We don't give any weight to those thoughts. So this process can be done with the help of a therapist. If you do feel that you need the support of a therapist to kind of identify and label those thoughts for yourself, that can be beneficial. But you can also do it on your own. I just see a comment from Core. Reminds me of growth mindset. I can't do math versus I'll try to do my best to learn math. Yes, that's a very good example, Core, of growth mindset. So yeah, it's reframing those negative thoughts that you have about yourself using more positive affirmations that are realistic. So that's exactly what it is. It's inserting positive thoughts where you might have more negative thoughts generally. And like I said, it takes practice, and it can be particularly difficult when you are experiencing depression, because that's when those negative thoughts become really ingrained and really entrenched in the brain, and anxiety or any other mental health condition. So when those thoughts do become more regular and persistent and start dominating your life, that might be a time that you might have to go to therapy and speak to a counselor about helping you to actually reframe, because sometimes we do need help, especially when we're going through a mental health crisis or dealing with a mental health issue. It can be difficult to do that on your own because you're dealing with an actual illness. So it's very important to get that help when you need it, but it's also beneficial to do that kind of work on your own as a preventative measure. So as Core mentioned, instead of saying I can't do math, you say, I'll try my best to learn math. Or instead of saying, I'm ugly when you look in the mirror, you say, I'm beautiful and I have a lot to offer to the world. Or instead of saying, I'm not smart enough, tell yourself what you are smart at and what you are good at. So it's carving out those new pathways in the brain, and it's actually very cool because we can actually do that. The brain is elastic and is something that we can manipulate and fill with really positive thoughts as opposed to negative ones. So another example is to actually seek out opportunities to think of positive thoughts. So for example, when you are geared in that negative way, you might walk into a room and say, oh, that wall color's ugly. Or you might go to a party and you might say, no one at that party is going to like me. So instead you want to interrupt those thoughts and be proactive about saying 5 positive things about that space. So instead of saying that wall color's ugly, you might say, what a great party. That wall color is different. So it doesn't have to necessarily be extremely positive. It just might be a little bit less kind of negative in that way. And a good way to do this is to pair up with a friend who, so maybe it's a friend that complains a lot, and you complain a lot, because sometimes we can feed off each other. Let's be realistic. These are things that are real for human beings. We do our best, and these are things that we do sometimes. So making an effort to practice and be more positive can be really beneficial when you do it with a partner. So maybe you pair up and you each challenge each other. So when you go into a new space and one of you is starting to be negative, maybe the other person speaks up and challenges you to say 5 things positive instead of complaining. And yes, this is going to feel really artificial at first, and you're going to feel like you're making things up and you don't really feel that way. But the point of this exercise is that eventually your brain will start to reform those neural pathways and change the way you think overall. It can be really life-changing. So I encourage you to do this if you are a person, and I certainly can be a person who complains sometimes. I think that could be a really great strategy to use to pair up with someone so that you're not feeling so isolated and alone, and that you have someone to be accountable to, because that can always help. And then the last technique, I wanted to go back to the more mindfulness techniques because they're really powerful as well. So visualization, again, when you end your day, when you're giving gratitude, visualize how your day went and visualize all the things that you are thankful for. That's gratitude. But visualize all the things that went well in your day. Because this can be a really good thing for sleep hygiene as well, because when we are trying to get ready for sleep, that is often when our brains kind of go on overdrive and we're just thinking all of the negative thoughts and all of the negative things that happen throughout the day. And when we focus on that, that can stress us out and make us not have a good sleep. So instead, be intentional about visualizing how well your day went, or the things that did go well in your day. And that can go along with your gratitude practice as well. And then on the flip side, if you want to do this as well, visualization can be really powerful to think about your day ahead or the next day ahead. So visualizing your ideal day. And yes, in reality, you're probably not going to attain every single thing that you visualize for your ideal day, but it's going to, like I mentioned, set the tone for how your day is going to go. and it's going to make you to have a more positive outlook on the day ahead. So visualization can be a really, really powerful technique to use to think about your day ahead and the day that has passed. So those were all the techniques that I had for you this week. Does anyone else have any that you would like to mention? Core, you're saying computing. Can you give me a little bit more information about that? Oh, maybe that was a typo. Color. Oh, like you mean the therapeutic coloring books? Oh, that's okay. You did autocorrect. That's okay. Like the adult coloring books that they have out now. Yes, those can be really relaxing. Or drawing, if you like to draw, or even if you don't like to draw, there are tons of tutorials on YouTube teaching you how to draw. But yes, coloring can be very relaxing. I know a lot of people who use that as a strategy for combating stress. And I think that's actually a really good point. So I think kind of the overall idea here is that even though we're super busy, and I feel like everyone is getting busier and busier because we're always on our phones and we're always on our computers, and a lot of people are working from home now. And if you're a student, you're navigating so many different areas of your life, work, school, social life, and mental health, all of the things that go into being a human being. But sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves, and we forget to take that time out to do our practices and to do things like a therapeutic coloring book, or do things we enjoy like drawing or listening to music, and just actually taking that downtime in our day to spend with ourselves and to give us some space to do those things. So I thank you for bringing that up, Cora. I really think that's a great example of how we need to make some time for those little things that we really enjoy, that bring joy to our lives, and that can also help reduce stress. So that's all I have for you today. I hope those techniques were helpful. And, oh, sorry, Cora, I just see your comment here. Can you please do a session on making our own self-care kits? Ooh, yeah, that's a great idea. I'd love to do that. That's an awesome idea. I think next week we're going to be focusing again back on the academic stuff. So doing some academic for a couple of weeks, but making our own self-care kits, that is an awesome idea. Definitely, for sure. So probably in a couple of weeks, maybe in November, we'll be doing that. But just keep us posted, or we'll keep you posted on Facebook and Instagram as to when that session will be coming up. Thank you so much for the suggestion. That's wonderful. Great idea. Maybe I'll make my own self-care kit. So that's all I do have for this week. And are there any other comments or questions? I'm glad we had a few more folks joining us again this week. That was great. And of course, I love the regulars. All my friends. So I just wanted to remind you, if you do have any questions or comments, you can get a hold of us on Instagram, Facebook, Medium, Google+, and we're also on a lot of the audio channels as well now. So we're on Google Play Music, Anchor, iTunes, Apple Podcast. We're also on LinkedIn. We're on YouTube. We're on Google+. So we're on pretty much all the platforms. Just look up Homework Help Global and you will find us there. And also just a little reminder, Homework Help Global does offer essay writing services, editing services, support services around writing essays and doing well in school. So if you do need any support, please reach out to us. We can certainly help you to navigate these stressful times as a student. If you are feeling a little overloaded with your course load, please check out our website or reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram, any of the other social media channels that I mentioned, and we'd be more than happy to help you to get good grades. So, I suppose that is all for me for this week. I really hope that was helpful. I enjoyed that. I love to talk about these issues and mindfulness and meditation and all of those therapeutic techniques, and it was helpful for me because now I'm really calm because I did some of the techniques as we were going through. So I hope you give them a try, and if you do, let me know next week, or you can message us on Instagram on DM, so whatever works for you. So thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Cath Anne. I am the host of the Homework Help Global's The Learning Studio, and have a great week. I will see you again next week on Tuesday, probably in the evening again at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So jump on and join us, and I love chatting with you. Next week we'll be doing some more kind of academic content, so please feel free to jump on and check out our social media channels so you'll know exactly what the topic is for next week. All the best. Take care.